Welcome to the Bobby Moore Stand. My name's Gary, and do you think that Julen Lopetegui can do anything right at the moment? In your eyes, that's the question. That's what I'm asking. You know, what if he, for instance, turned it around and started delivering fantastic results? A selection that makes sense in your eyes, and we start moving up the league. Would you be happy? Yeah. What if he does all that? What if he picks all the players you want and puts them in the positions you demand? Would you be happy? What if the football was sublime and we start tearing it up and competing at the top of the league, beating some top teams? Would you be happy then? I suggest most people would be, but there are a small section of people who wouldn't be. They wouldn't be, because I think they're motivated only to see the guy fail. I think they, to call a manager out after 5 games and say, "I've seen enough, he's got to go," is just unreasonable and ridiculous, in my opinion. If that's your opinion, fine, keep it. But don't pretend that other people should have that opinion, because it is, at best, a little bit, how can I say, I suppose inflammatory, divisive. If you're more interested in being right as being the person who called it first, so you sort of said, "Oh, Lopetegui's got to go after 5 games," and you want to be proven so right, and you can be the first person to call it, because you tell it like it is, right? Yeah. The thing is, you're not right, and I think Lopetegui has actually done some good things. I think when I did a post-match review on Saturday, straight after watching the game with my son Ross, we're 2 season ticket holders, right? We watch West Ham a lot, live and on telly sometimes, and we've seen a lot of dross recently, especially up to Chelsea last week. It's the last game we went to. It was terrible, and I was quite angry in the game afterwards. But I watched that game yesterday, and I've got to be honest, I left it feeling upbeat, because I saw a lot of patches of play in there which gave me a little bit of hope. I thought the forward players were a lot more joined up. They were bringing the overlapping players into play quite a lot. I thought defensively, especially in the second half, we looked brilliant. I thought the commitment in the second half was fabulous. Really, really good. But look, don't take my word for it. Let me just play, and again, this is not someone that's going to be openly gushing like I was. This is somebody who was at the game. It's only a minute long. Let's see what Doddsy had to say when I can find the right video.
So it's finished, West Ham 1, Brentford 1. I've given my views on the team lineup in the previous video. Hopefully you've seen that one. If not, most people are happy, maybe a little bit disgruntled that Somerville didn't play, but apart from that, everyone was happy with the lineup. First 25 minutes was poor. We just seemed to sit back all the time. Then coming out in the second half, the early goal killed us in the first few seconds and everything, which we've got to learn from. I'm sure Lopetegui doesn't send them out thinking that way. The atmosphere was good. Black balloon protest again was very good. I'm sure you've seen that came across. And the fans were, as always, were good and loud and proud. Moved us into the second half. He went 3 at the back. A little bit disgruntled that Somerville didn't come on, was the feeling from the terraces. But at the end of the day, to get 1-1 with a scrappy goal, we'll take that. Undefeated away from home. Fans are quite happy. The reason they were booing as Paqueta went off was because he went off so slow. They wanted to speed it up. 1-1. We'll take that at Brentford. Anyway, hope you like the videos. All the best, Gary. Cheers.
Thank you, Doddsy. So it's always nice to get a view from someone that was in the ground, because you can misinterpret it. You can hear a bit of booing and say, "Oh, they're booing the manager." They weren't booing the manager, were they? They were booing Paqueta because he weren't getting his backside off the pitch quickly enough, right? And that comes from inside the ground. So you either call all the crowd, or Doddsy, who knows a lot of people, and he's always in the crowd at every game, no matter West Ham play. You could say he got it wrong. I don't think he did, to be honest. So we've lost 3 games out of, against top 5 teams, 2 of whom have only lost 1 game each, against City and Arsenal, respectively. The other team, City, have lost none, right? We beat Palace away. We beat Fulham. We drew against Fulham and Brentford away. 3 games there that we lost last season. That's an improvement. It's our first point ever at Brentford, right? That's a reason to be positive. It's a reason I was positive, one of them, right? So if you're not happy, why aren't you happy? I mean, there seems to be some, everything from generic to specific to outright piss taking. I mean, it's like everything from he don't know what he's doing, he's useless, to he's ruining Kudos, to he don't know how to use Paqueta, to Rodriguez is slow, Antonio's finished. He's been told to pick the Czech boys. Why does he keep on picking Souček? Why have you, have you stopped considering that somehow, you might have expected this to happen, right? You might have expected this to be a bit of a slow start. Let's look at all the contributing factors so far. All the issues he's had to deal with. It's taken until the Liverpool game for Todibo to get really a start and look fit, and he's looking good now, right? Emerson got injured against Fulham. He didn't really recover. Fulkrug, he's been injured since the international break. Alvarez has missed 2 games, one through injury, one through being stupid. AWB, Wan-Bissaka, he wasn't ready for 2 or 3 games either. He's got 2 right wingers in Kudus and Bowen. And everyone's got the right idea about it, saying, oh, you should play him there and him there. But really, he's the manager. He knows these players. He knows what he thinks they're capable of. And he knows a lot about football management than me. And a lot more about football management than you lot, I would think, right? It's just what we've got is just opinions. He's the one on the ground with them. He's got limited striker options in Antonio, Ings and Fulkrug. Now, is that his fault? I doubt it. It's not his fault. He didn't go out and buy the players. And on top of all that, there's an international break where the players came back looking absolutely knackered. Paqueta's not himself. Alvarez has just been reckless, more than ever. Individual mistakes, as well as his own tactical shortcomings. I'm thinking about Chelsea, right? But again, he's a new manager. He's going to try different things. If you don't expect him to buy different things, I don't know what you're looking at, right? Brentford had 9 injuries. That's another excuse. We should be beating them easily. When have we ever beaten Brentford easily? You saw that game. If you watched it with your own eyes, like I did, you'd see that they're still a decent side. And they had us under the cosh for periods in that second half. But you could look at it and say, oh, that shouldn't be happening. We should be down the other end tearing it up. It's because he ain't put Kudus on the right. No, look, why not just admit it? You just want to be right, and you just want him to be, to get fired and move on to some. Oh, we're being linked to the ex Chelsea bloke today, Potter, right? Because the likes of TalkSport and everybody else, they love to see British managers managing British clubs, and so for them this is just an agenda that is playing out, right? He's got an expensive squad, he does, but it's 75% new players. He is a new manager, and we played Chelsea last week, who have got a new manager. They haven't got 75% new squad, right? They've got a lot of those players who've been there quite some time. They're settled in this country as well, which is just as important as being settled in the club, right? Have you ever had a bad week at work, or made a few mistakes, or a bad month, or something like that? What happens to you in that situation? Do you expect your boss to treat you fairly and sit you down and say, have a chat about it and find out what's gone wrong and perhaps suggest how you can do things a little bit better, or does he call you in and say, sorry mate, you're finished. You've got no chance. You're rubbish now. You made a mistake last week. You're finished. You're out of here. Don't want to see you again. You're fired. Would you expect that? Well, this is his job as well, right? It's his job. It's his job, and it's a big job. He's had to rebuild that squad from scratch, and I still think they did a fabulous job in rebuilding it. We didn't quite get everybody we wanted in terms of a striker. We got Fulkrug. We didn't get Duran. I would have preferred Duran. Everyone would have preferred Duran, right? But if you believe what the club said this week, and I'm not sure whether I do or not, but let's take it on face value, that we offered 43 million for him. Now, I'm sure there's some contact that someone's got that's going to deny that. But at the same time, that's what the club are saying. So what are you going to do? You're going to believe it, or you're going to not believe it? It's up to you. Or just add that to the negative narrative. Again, is it his fault? Is it Lopetegui's fault? No, it isn't. So, look, some of the comments when I suggested the other week that Paqueta and Alvarez, I've been very controversial lately. I said that Paqueta and Alvarez could do the rest. I still believe it, actually. I think Paqueta did a little bit better yesterday for 15 minutes when Kudus went off and Brentford took the press off of him. Because I think before then, I think he was well under control. And when he's further up the pitch like that and he's under pressure, he loses the ball more often than when he's sitting deep. And when he's sitting deep, every time he loses a ball is more critical because he loses it in bad areas like he was earlier in the season. To me, he doesn't have his game head on. And I understand why as well, and I feel for him. I really do. So I'm not having a go at him. I think he's genuinely a fantastic footballer. I just don't think, for very good reason, I don't think his head is in it. And I think Soler is going to be the one that eventually picks up the slack. What would I like to see? I'd like to see Kudus put on the right. I'd like to see Somerville put on the left. I'd like to see Bowen in the middle and number 10 being a second striker, you know, with Fulkrug or playing in the hole just behind. I'd like to see Soler feeding him. Now, as far as central defensive midfield, I stick by what I said about Alvarez. I think he proved me right last week, being a bloody dick in getting himself sent off, right? But again, comments on there saying, "Oh, you ain't got a brain in your head. Give your head a wobble." Yeah, all right. Well, I dared to be positive yesterday. I did use the word brilliant. That was wrong. It wasn't brilliant, but I did have a brilliant time watching it. I really did. And I thought it was brilliant compared to Chelsea last week. And there were all sorts of improvements that I really enjoyed. Right, Mavropanos looked brilliant at right back. How could you not like that? How could you not enjoy that performance, right? AWB. Wan-Bissaka looked fantastic on the left-hand side. How could you not enjoy that performance from Wan-Bissaka? Todibo looked really good alongside Max Kilman, someone he says he really loves Max Kilman. He said he's the best player so far this year, and he's right. But it's good that he's saying that about his central defensive partner, right? He looks like a proper player. That's brilliant for me. Paqueta, he looked very good when Kudus went off. So it kind of, you know, that kind of alludes to the fact that taking Kudus off at that point in time was the right thing to do because it led to the equaliser. Now you can say that Kudus is absolutely fireproof, bulletproof. Nobody can touch him. Nobody dare question the great Kudus. Well, I'm sorry, he's just a player. He's a good player, very good player. I'd like to see him playing on the right. But while the manager's working out what his team's going to be and getting all the different pieces to function correctly, he's got to just be a team player and not do what he did early in that game yesterday. If you don't remember it, go back. You're not watching closely enough, right? Because I remember it. I actually wrote a comment in the WhatsApp group because he cut inside from the left, and he took a shot that wasn't on with his right foot. It was a two-bob effort like Paqueta's against Fulham the other week, where you ain't got a pass and I'm just going to do the lazy thing and swing me leg at it. And then when he'd done it, no emotion, nothing at all. It just sort of, well, you know, that's another one gone. I don't want to see players reacting like that. And if Kudus is that way inclined and he thinks he's bigger than the team and he can dictate that he's going to play on the right, I don't care how good he is, to be honest. I want to see him pull him for the team. And I would also like to know if he was responsible in any way for that early goal, as in not helping out Emerson, who was clearly still a little bit injured. He couldn't keep up with the guy. So, yeah, I'm in two minds. I do love Kudus. I think he's a fantastic, amazing, world-class player, right? But I'm going to get slated for saying this as well. It's up to the manager who he plays and where he plays them. I expect the team to do what I did in the second half yesterday and give it their full commitment, whatever he chooses to do, rather than just taking the easy way out and blaming him, rather than the individuals who are not delivering what he asks. When he screws up like he did against Chelsea last week, gets the tactics totally wrong, I blame him. But he didn't this time, did he? He didn't. He actually said after the game that he was, I mean, Souček said it was embarrassing we let that goal in so early after the prep that they'd done. He said that in his post-match interview. And Lopetegui actually expanded on that. And he said, this didn't take us by surprise. We knew after they scored really early goals against Spurs and Man City, we knew that's what they'll be trying to do. We warned the players. We sat them down. We went through the videos. And guess what? 30 seconds in, they've scored. Right? Now you tell me if that's Lopetegui's fault, the lack of preparation, or that's the players' fault. Because frankly, once they cross the line, 30 seconds later, what can you do? You feel like you're talking to a bloody brick wall with these players. I don't know who was at fault there for the initial run on Emerson. I do know who was at fault over the other side. That was Wan-Bissaka, but again, I'm reluctant to blame him for anything because I think it's great. Either way, it shouldn't have happened. It shouldn't have been allowed, right? It was wrong. And, let's hope we put it right and stop, because that's 4 goals that we've let in early. But like I said, I just want to expand on what I thought was brilliant. It wasn't the entire game, but I had a brilliant time watching it. Sorry for anybody that offends. Anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you out now with Dodsey, because he had a second video that he took just before the game, right? And this was just giving you an impression. The main reason I want to show you this is because it's a video of the balloon protest, which is going loud and proud at every single ground, you know, whether we're home or away. And you know, recently the board tried to ban the balloon protest. They actually went to, I think it was a stadium owners or the FA, I can't remember what it was, but they tried to get the balloons counted as dangerous objects, so we couldn't throw them. And I think the FA it said, sorry West Ham, you can't constitute a rubber thing filled with air as a missile. So, good try, Karen. Ain't happening, is it? But anyway, in the meantime, we're going to carry on doing it. And if you go to an away game or if you go to a home game, make sure you get these balloons up there because it's for a good reason. Until next time, see you soon. Come in your irons.
So it's finished, West Ham 1, Brentford 1. So Gary, pre-match, thought I'd do you a little video as requested. So the atmosphere is pretty good, as you can see. Black balloon protest is now in force again. Team news, so the majority of the crowd are a little bit, I'd say 90% happy, 10% not so happy, because obviously Souček's in there. They're saying the midfield is slow and they're worried. But here come the teams. Let's see what happens, and I'll give you a post-match review as well. Come on, you Irons. Here's the black protest.